All right, we are live, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Illinois Green Party series. I'm your host, David Rich. We have a special guest on tonight. We have Chester Todd, Green Party candidate for District 1, Wisconsin. Hello, Mr. Todd. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, sir. And how are you?
I'm doing fabulously. Thank you. So good to have you on the show. Always a pleasure to talk to other Green Party members, especially the ones that are running for an office, because it turns out we are a political party, and so that's what we should be doing. We do a lot of other stuff too. But getting our members into offices is where the rubber hits the road for us, and that's what we need to do. So thank you for doing what you're doing. So let's talk a little bit about like how you became a Green Party member. Maybe if you want to go back to, I don't know how long you've been involved in politics or any sort of activism or that. If you want to start there, wherever you'd like.
I it could be a long story, but I can shorten it up. I've been sober now for 35 years.
Oh wow!
I'm
Congratulations.
82 years old. Uh, Up until April the 4th of 1989, I had been a druggie, a junkie, more or less, but a functional junkie, worked,
Right.
so
Right.
it's that. Um, I On that day, I decided it was time. It was now or never.
Yeah.
At that time, I was a single parent with 4 daughters. I have six, but I was
Oh wow.
raising four. Anyway, I went to treatment. I stayed in treatment for 7 months. And when coming out of treatment, I decided to attend one of our little community vocational colleges to do some remedial work. And I didn't have a high school diploma. Uh, anyway, I got the HED, enrolled in a 2-year human services associate program. At the end of the first year, I had like a 3.89, in which I was amazing. With all the acid I dropped back in the years. I want to be transparent.
Yeah,
That's
no, that's good.
because I don't want anybody going back pulling up stuff. You
Right.
understand? So anyway, with the 389, I went down the road here in Racine. Towards Kenosha is a beautiful college. It's a private Lutheran college named Carthage.
Yeah. Yeah,
Carthage,
I know the Carthage.
fantastic
Yeah,
place.
for sure.
I went there. They say, well, go back and get this. I go get that and bring it back. Now you need to mail this, and I do that. So pretty soon, like the average recovering person, I'm saying, well, they don't want me there, you know. And so one day they said, well, come on down and do this. I said, well, this is the last time I'm coming down. And they told me I'd made it. Say, you're in. And so I transferred my credits in. 3 years later, I graduated. Um, Unbeknownst to me, the faculty had went behind my back and got me a scholarship for my graduate studies.
Wow.
And I did about a year and a half. Then I had to drop out for a minute. Came back. I always kept one class at least, a semester so I could stay
Sure.
connected.
Right.
Um, anyway, I ended up with a master's 11 years later after that. I have a master's in science of education.
Oh
I
wow.
have the liberal arts undergrad was pointed mostly in sociology.
Hmm.
Then now we're talking. Let me go back a year before. Um, well, about a year after I left Gateway of the junior college. Around in that time, Bill Clinton was beginning to. Now, number one, there was no way I was going to vote for somebody from Arkansas. Wasn't going to do that. No, no, no. I'm from Kentucky, and
That's awesome.
yeah, that wasn't going to work. But it
Okay.
wasn't. It wasn't so much that to either. I had researched and seen that in the 11 years that he was the governor
No.
of Arkansas, the minority communities suffered infant mortality rates of the third world countries. And
It's not a great state by
it's not
any measure at all. And
right.
we're not picking on Arkansas people per se. It's just the general structure and atmosphere is not. But
Exactly.
Isn't Sarah Huckabee the current governor?
Is that
I think she's
Art?
the governor of Arkansas. I mean,
Yeah,
if she is, that speaks tomes
that tells
about. Okay, so go ahead.
us right away. So I decided to leave the party. I stopped voting for him. And since then, I think the only time I voted for Democrats on the national level has been Obama, of course. I got caught up in the drama.
Sure.
We could discuss that later.
Okay.
I kind of wish I hadn't got caught up, but being black and old, never thought I'd see the day, you know. But uh, after that, I kind of like searched around and I said, the Green Party. I was watching YouTube one day and I seen this white lady being interviewed, nice looking lady, gray hair. And I said, well, her name is Jill Stein, Dr. Stein. I said, well, okay. I said, well, how would you propose controlling police violence against minorities and whatever? And this white lady said, uh, community policing,
Beautiful.
review
Totally.
boards.
Right.
And I said, wow, that took a lot of nerve to say that. I said, well, let me look into the party a little bit. And so I've been voting basically with the Green Party uh, since then. You
Oh.
know, always checking up to see, to hear Dr. Stein.
Hmm.
I got a chance to meet her about a month and a half ago here in Racine when she came and we did an event together. That's
Nice.
posted on YouTube under my name. So you can always find her. She's a fabulous person.
She
You
is
know,
good. She was on this show last week. There was some technical difficulties. We didn't get the full hour, but she was great to talk to. You're right, Chester. She's the real deal. I mean,
yes,
she
she
gets
is.
arrested at protests, and
Yes,
she does stuff to like bulldozers and stuff like that. Like she doesn't just talk the talk; she walks the walk.
right.
She's an amazing lady for
And
sure.
she is.
Yeah.
In fact, I introduced her as the solution, the alternative, and the solution. And that's what I believe the party is. Um, I have deep faith in this party until they show me different.
Sure.
But everyone has been gracious,
Hmm.
really have helped me in my campaign efforts here, got me on the ballot. In Wisconsin, it takes 1,000 signatures to get you on the ballot. But of course, you want to get something like 13 or 1,400 because you know the enemy is coming to wipe you out.
They sick their lawyer dogs on the petition, and any little like my most minuscule like discrepancy. Look, taking that name off.
Yep,
Yeah,
you're
no,
out.
it's ridiculous. But anyway, go ahead.
Now, you got to realize that Racine, Wisconsin is the second worst city in the United States for black residency.
I didn't know that.
Milwaukee was number one for a couple of years, and Racine was number two. Now, Milwaukee is number three. And then also, we have to understand that Wisconsin is the number one state that is the worst state for black residency.
Like economically and like police and
Yes,
stuff like that, kind of all the
yes, and
categories that we usually think of. Okay.
yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I don't think I would have guessed that. Okay, interesting.
and it locks up more uh, blacks per capita than any state in the country. I think Oklahoma follows real close, probably.
Okay.
And Milwaukee. And the reason I mentioned Milwaukee so much is because it's only 30 miles away. Now, Milwaukee is also the number one residentially segregated community in the United States.
Wow.
So now, with all this that we've just discussed, then you go up to Madison and you see that we have a Democratic governor,
Right.
Tony Evers. I know Tony,
Oh,
not to go to his house, but have met him on the
right.
campaign
Right.
trail. We have talked,
Sure.
and so on and so forth. And I'm a writer, by the way, and I'm published in the Racine County Eye online newspaper in the opinion page.
Cool.
So a lot of my stuff is directed at Madison, directed at the Democrats, and this is it has a lot to do with me enjoying myself as a Green, because right away, the moment I announced my candidacy, my run for candidacy with Jill, we at our event, right away I'm getting calls from the Democrats. Uh, you got to be careful. You'll take some votes for us from us. I said, well, that's your problem, not
Yeah,
mine.
they need to be careful.
Yeah,
Okay. I
you
mean,
be careful.
that's where exactly what we're trying to do is take votes from you. I don't know why you're warning me.
Yeah, for sure. And I continuously try to tell people, and normally a lot of my writing is directed towards black people, because I want to see us wake up to this two-party system,
Right.
this bamboozlement, and that's what I call
That's
it.
a good word for that's really a good word for it, a bamboozlement. That's a
Yeah.
fantastic word for that.
You, yes, you come into my area every 2 to 4 years, and you say we're going to work on police reform. So
Yeah.
we did get chokeholds stricken out of
Oh, that's
police
nice.
management. Yeah, we got chokeholds anyway,
That's cool.
So hey, thank you.
Yeah.
And
They can still beat you with the baton, but they
yeah,
can't.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, we can beat
So
you with the
it's a
baton
nice, it's a nice step forward there. Yeah. Okay.
so yeah, I keep telling people, many of my articles say that, hey, we spend political capital, black political capital, that that party could go nowhere without us being the stakeholders. We're their stakeholders. And they come to us and they fool us every time. They fool some of us. They don't fool me. And, they don't fool me. So that's drew me. That's basically what drew me into this party. And of course, um, I'm a socialist.
Mhm.
I see what capitalism. I've read some Marx. I might not
Mhm.
be the most astute on it, but I read that stuff, sociological theory, and
Oh.
Durkheim,
Mhm.
all of
Yep.
them. And it's easy to see the destruction, not only locally, statewide, nationally, but worldwide. What the power and that causes the destruction of life and the earth most definitely.
It's unbelievable.
It's,
A lot.
it
Yeah.
is.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is. And what's really unbelievable is these people who are amassing all this money, and we're telling them, look, you're destroying the earth. If you're trying to build generational wealth for your family, it's going to be null and void.
Yeah. You're creating your own dead end.
Exactly. So this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Uh, the greed.
No, it's yeah. No, it's gross. It's I mean, it's literally like physically repulsive to watch.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And to hear them try to justify, it is ridiculous. Um, People ask me why I pick on the Democrats. I said, because number one, they're the party that's supposed to help the people.
Right.
They say,
They're supposed to be the good guys.
yes.
Right.
Yeah. And we know the Republicans don't want black votes, marginalized votes. They don't want you because they don't want to owe you anything
Right.
politically. Any the political capital that we could give them, they don't want that. They don't want that. So that's basically why I joined this party. Um, in the Wisconsin Green Party, um, fantastic people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have a big group of Green Party members around you? Are you part of your local chapter or anything like that? Or
No, there's only two of us that I two or three of us in the state.
oh, okay.
I think there's one of our fine gentlemen, uh, Joe Nathan Kingfisher, up around the Superior area. I think he's running
Oh,
for
way up there.
yeah, I think he's running for the Tammy Baldwin seat.
Oh,
You
okay.
know,
Hmm.
and Joe Nathan's a very, very honest and straightforward individual. We pull for each other. I think Joe, his will be basically right in, and I think there's one more gentleman. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I really have to say this. All kudos to the people who helped me get the signatures. Were basically people out of the Milwaukee districts that came out of their district in the mind to get ballot signatures from me. And the reason why that is because a lot of people say, well, why didn't you get a lot of black people? Well, black people don't know about the Green Party.
Right.
As a mass,
Right.
we don't know about these parties. It's like you said at the beginning, well, my dad voted Democrat, I'm voting Democrat,
Right. Right.
you
That's
know,
usually how it goes. Yeah.
and to prove I have met, and this is ridiculous. I have met some brothers and sisters who are so embedded and indoctrinated, they are Democrats to the day they die.
Right.
And they've told me that.
Yes.
And
100%. Yeah.
I
I've
say,
seen that too.
yes. And I asked, well, give me something to justify you feeling like that. What promises have you seen them keep when they had the power? Look, we go back to was it the first Obama term? He had the House and the Senate, didn't he?
Yeah,
And
they could have done anything they wanted.
they could have done
What did
anything.
they do?
Right. Right.
Obamacare, which was nice, but I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But uh,
Unbelievable.
yeah, unbelievable. And I'm not trying to say that he should have specifically went after just civil rights for black people. See, the older you get, uh, and I'm 82, and
Yeah.
there's been times in my life, like any other black person in this country, that I look at whites and say, "Oh no, 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 I'm through." But the older you get, the more you realize you should that it's not always race. A
No,
lot of times it's class.
absolutely.
And Marx warned us about that. Division of labor, creating class structure,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you fall into that, you know.
Hmm.
And have you ever noticed, and this is something that I laugh at, each party, we're gonna help the middle class. Well, I got news for you. There's more people than the middle class,
Right.
you know, and
Yeah.
you never hear them speak broadly about helping those who can't help themselves. It seems like you go middle class and then you drop off the cliff and you're invisible, But we want your vote now. We want your vote, but you're invisible to us,
Right.
you know. The amenities that are for the people in the upper class of the range we're talking about, you don't get those amenities. Your health care, if you live in the urban area, and especially in a Racine or Milwaukee, uh, you might not have medical facilities. You
Right.
know, here in Racine, some years ago, they took the two hospitals that were laying right in the middle of the black community, took them and moved them out. You know,
Wow.
now you can catch a bus. No consideration. Um, and this is a Democratic hub, right? Racine and Milwaukee. And isn't that strange that both of these cities are controlled by Democrats? Look at Milwaukee, black mayor, black police chief, black sheriff, black county exec, and still it's it's just a quagmire of chaos,
Mhm.
you know. Uh, and then the other thing is, so this being the election year, I've been writing articles about how the governor has totally ignored southeastern Wisconsin. So all of a sudden, we start getting placements on the bench uh, in both cities, black people being placed on the bench, where he could have done that 2 years ago when there was a seat open in Racine, because we've never had a black person on the bench. So
Mhm.
he finally put one on at the latter part of last year, a young lady, but it was a trick because by placing her there, she only had a few months and then she had to be elected, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah. Hmm.
So she got beat 82% to 12.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it was plain, because see, the we won't call it the suburban area, but we'll say on one side of the I or the highway there, or going out into the county, Republic,
Right.
Republic, you know. And so you have no way of and plus the Democrats didn't help her, which they weren't supposed to, but I have a strange story just to show you.
Okay.
Before I entered the race, there's a young black Navy uh, 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 gentleman in the United States Navy intelligence in the intelligence. Uh, Went to the Naval Academy. 34, well, he's 35 now. He had entered the race 37 7 months before. Yeah, 7 months before he let it be known he was going to run. So there was the incumbent Brian Stiles, Republican, out of Janesville, Wisconsin, the old Paul Ryan route there,
Oh.
and
Hmm.
he pretty solidly cemented in there, and it'll take I don't know, Jesus Christ to probably remove him, you know. And so this young black man got in the race. He had lived in Racine 7 years. He wasn't well known in the black community, and so he went on a now he's a Democrat too. All right,
Right.
he went on a 2 week training mission as a last he as his last piece um, in the Navy. Now he's coming out to be he's not on duty. While he was on this 2 week training thing, it appears, and I want to make sure that people understand, it appears to me
Right.
that they took a man named Peter Barker from Kenosha, white gentleman who had been in Congress previously, I don't know exactly what years, and placed him in the movement too. Now, so they undermined this kid. I call him a kid because he's 35. I've met him. He's a nice young man. Nice young man. I would have no problem, as I told him, that because we had discussed, he says, why don't you give me some help? I said, I can't. We're both running for the same spot. However, I would be more than happy to have helped you if you'd have come to me previous to me declaring my candidacy. Anyway, it got so bad the kid had to drop out. So now that leaves me, the green, the incumbent and Republican, and this Democrat person. Now I know neither one of these gentlemen. I know neither one. I don't really need to, because their party affiliation already tells me what they're about. Uh,
Sure.
you know, I'm pro Palestine. I mean, in fact, with the event that Dr. Stein and I did, I made mention to the crowd there. I says, we got white, black, Mexican, everybody in this crowd. We are taxpayers, and we got blood on our hand every night we go to sleep. You know, you can't wash it off because it's going to be there again tomorrow, and we need to find a way to let people know, and people come back and they'll say, well, the government. And I said, wait a minute. See, that little box that you see over there that says the government, that's not the government. You're the government. Those are just the tools that you put to extend your wants, needs, and whatever. You're the government. They have bamboozled you to the point. They bamboozled your grandfather, the great grandfather, to thinking they're the government. So you elect someone and they're supposed to represent you.
Right.
But you understand, if you're in the marginalized community, and that can be white, that can be black. In fact, I told the crowd, I said, listen, there's white people in this crowd right now whose table are as bare as mine. So it's not necessarily race every day that we're talking about. We're talking about class structure, and
Right.
you need to get wise to that,
Yeah.
You need to get wise to that. So, yeah.
Well, all right. I mean, that's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing. And a lot of things went through my head as you were talking, but I want to hear more about your campaign and some of the specifics going on in your district. Is there any sort of environmental issues, pollution, anything like that? You talked about police.
Oh,
Police, I'm sure there's, tons of problems with police in your area.
yes.
Almost every area. There's tons of problem with police.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Yeah, the police here. Now, although we do have a new police chief, but it doesn't seem to make too much difference. Every couple of years, we have a kid shot in the back or something. There's, now of course, being 82, I don't interact with the police that much now. I'm, here at the home, but yeah, the police here, just like the police any place else, exceed their authority always. I mean, I once wrote an article. Inside the article, I said, if the good cops did their job and arrested the bad cops, then you would have great community police association and relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not, that there again. See, this bamboozlement runs the course.
Yeah. The cops have a gang-like loyalty to one another, and
They're a gang.
they're in a sense just sort of another gang. But yeah, so it's really hard to kind of break through that what do they call it, wall of silence or something like that.
Yeah, I walked up to a young black cop a few years ago out at the mall, one of the malls we have here, and I said, "Hey, you see all this stuff going on around the nation, black relation with the police, and you see how corrupt things are. You being in the squad room, the white supremacists on the force. I've never witnessed that." Yeah, okay.
All right.
I said, but you remember this. When you go home at night and you take this uniform off and you want to go down to the Piggly Wiggly, you got that same target on your back that I got on mine.
Yeah. That's a very interesting point. You're right. Exactly.
You have to remember that. And I don't mean to just tag this all on black issues. Poor white people have the same issues with police, but they don't realize that until the actual event takes place.
Right.
You see, because we got them bamboozled too, is that you're poor like your black neighbor down the street, but you got white privilege. So this is what we're giving you. We're giving you white privilege that makes you about 2 inches taller than than your neighbor.
Right.
And
Yeah, no, to the extent that it's about like economic class, and you're right. And they're the numbers are rolling in concerning like polls taken and studies done concerning that sort of thing and police abuse of thereof.
hmm
Um, it's the broader picture is that it has a lot to do with, like you said, economic class. The thing is that because of things like redlining,
hmm
segregation, the impossibility of African Americans to go to like a good school for forever, you
hmm
know, created a lot of like the poorer areas of the cities and that kind of thing. It was no fault of their own. They wanted to take care of their stuff, but they couldn't get the loans.
you
They
couldn't get
couldn't
those.
get the money. They couldn't get the businesses to come in merely because they were black. And
hmm
there's all sorts of residual effects still in place right now. That the brunt of the problem of what you're describing about police and poverty and that kind of thing. It's not like it just sort of happened naturally,
Yeah,
organically, like they just decided they didn't feel like taking care of their area. They couldn't. They weren't allowed to.
right,
They would build highways and expressways and tollways that went through or around their area without any ramps or exits.
right.
They didn't have the same opportunities to drive to a better job or anything like that. The whole thing was rigged.
Yes,
Sorry, it makes me angry. Sorry, go on.
yes. Now, when my family moved to Racine, Wisconsin, from Mayfield, Kentucky. Now, Mayfield, Kentucky is the town that 2 years ago got completely annihilated by the tornado there, if
Oh
you
wow.
remember. Now, I moved here when I was 9 with my parents, uh, great stepfather, and my mom. And it was racist then, but it was better than where we came from, you know.
Right.
And so it was a little better. But and the industry and manufacturing was just going at a terrific rate. At that time, I think that blacks in this area made more money per capita than any blacks in the country. We had gigantic foundries and manufacturing plants and all of those. So it was impossible not to have a job. You I
Yep.
know when I went in the Navy at 17, which is something else I'll touch on.
All right.
Um, and when I come out at 19, I got to working. Now my tour in the Navy was a trip. I was 17 years old, and I said, "Well, I'm going to leave Racine to get away from the racism." I, Bam! I run right into it. I was
Oh, in the
stationed.
military? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
oh
Back
yes.
back then, sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
Probably still now.
stationed on a ship with 600 people, 11 black on the ship. I
Wow.
was the youngest person on the ship. The older blacks were so accustomed to being called the N word. I don't normally say N word. I usually
I get it.
use the word.
I get it.
But I couldn't take it. I just couldn't. That's in my it's part of me. I can't take it. I don't. I'm never gonna let anyone, even at this age, push me down to where I get dust on my knees. That's not gonna happen.
Good for you.
You know, I'm not gonna do that. And my mentees that I mentor, I got 2, 3, maybe 4 uh, young people that I tell them. Just had a session with 2 of them this morning. I said, you never give up your convictions. I don't care what the situation is. If you are right, you're right. You can walk in a room full of lies and might be one person in there that knows the truth. There's only one truth in that room. The rest is lies.
Right.
And you have to stand by yourself. Black, white, I don't care what color you are. You know, have to. In my day, when I was a young kid running around, the older black men would just tell you, be a man. You say, well, why is this? Just be a man. And they would tell you that. Uh, this group that I'm with now in Wisconsin, the Green Party, you can tell these stories and you can see the emotion in the people. So I know I'm with the right group. I have a fantastic bunch of people that I work for. I'm on the work with. I'm on the coordinating committee.
Oh, nice.
I'm on the policy and platform committee. Uh, Communications, yeah, because I want to be involved.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. And it's, yeah, no, the green, like you said, because it's such a willful, purposeful trek to the Green Party, people are usually very passionate about being there.
I found that out.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's good.
yes, I found that out to be more so than those who work under false pretenses. Now, when we see, I can't visualize anyone in the Democratic Party. Oh, some, sure, those who don't know politics. I don't profess to know politics. I'm not a politician, but I'm not a fool either, But I can't imagine how these people really believe year after year in what's been thrown at them in a smoke-filled room, and nothing ever happens for them. Those of us who are marginalized, and believe me, it's some people who think they are part of the system. They're not. They're not part of the system. They think they are.
No, they're not.
They're not.
There was a study done by, I think, Yale, and if it wasn't Yale, it was Princeton or Harvard, one of those East Coast schools. That this is a little while ago, but that showed that basically, so because you can take national polls and you can do studies, you can get an idea of what the majority of the public thinks about specific issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, out of all, like, the 100% of times that, like, if like the polls showed that, like, the majority of the public, whether it be 60% or higher, believe like we shouldn't go to a certain war, or we want single payer health, or whatever it may be, Congress voted in line with that only 30% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So 70% of the time, they're voting against the majority's will.
Yes.
What? I mean, so, like, you're right. It doesn't matter what we think or even
No.
who we vote in too often, because they're just going to. I've seen a lot of politicians, even local ones, they get into office and immediately they turn on the people who put them there.
Exactly.
They side with the cops. They side with the mayor or whatever, or blah, 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 blah. And they're not doing what I could tell you a whole story about this crap that happened a couple of years ago in town next week, but I won't do that because this is your show. But so, yeah, I spot on and agree with you. It's we don't have as much of a voice as we think we do.
As you make great points there. When I sit back and I look at the exciting people in the Democratic Party that sit in the House, and I look at Jasmine Crockett, very exciting young lady.
Yeah, well, especially now because of MTG's stupidity. Yeah,
exactly.
that was fun.
I look at her. I look at Cori Bush. I look at Hakeem Jeffries, and I saw an exchange between Jeffries and Tim Scott, and Jeffries
that'd be good.
Giving it to him. I'm black, and I stand up and I say, "Oh, there's my guy, man. He's cool." And then he turns around and says, "I back Israel." I said, "Oh no, yeah. Well, there you go. You're on my what you call it list, not my bucket list." But,
right.
So,
right. I get it. I know that list. I have a list too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. It really is. And, the Israeli Gaza thing is a huge deal right now. It's so divisive. And I don't know. It's such a hot divide and an intense divide.
Yes.
I
yet to know.
I don't see how you can be a moral human being and not think that there's a problem here.
Exactly. What happened to the morals? Well, of course, we know, some of us know, or should have figured this out. If I build a house and the foundation are leaning in and they're rotten, one day it's going to implode. And it is my belief as a sociologist and as a human being
Mhm.
subjected to this chaos, uh, that we're imploding.
I
And I,
think that, yeah,
yes, yes,
absolutely.
sir.
I agree with you 100%.
Mhm.
There's so many different fronts that are converging upon each other, whether it be climate change or just generalized pollution, economic, socio-political differences and antagonisms. You see the riots and the protests in Europe over like Green Deal laws and like or just climate change in general. The protesters are shutting down intersections and bridges
Yep.
and stuff. All that stuff. The worse the situations or the topics they're protesting against get worse, the more they're going to protest. And the protests are going to go from peaceful to violent. And it's
Yeah.
going to be the way it happens because people are not going to let you destroy the earth, for example, just
Right.
because you're a government or a corporation. You
Exactly.
don't, I said this to Jill last time. You don't get to do that. It's not okay.
It's not
Okay. So,
right.
and we're going to have to stop you one way or another. But there's
Exactly.
all sorts of like, again, economic disparity, wealth disparity, and distribution injustices, and all sorts of things. And you just all these issues are converging on each other from all these different vantage points. Eventually, it's just going to go.
Yep. When you look in Racine, Wisconsin, I don't have it in front of me, but the medium income, household income for whites is double that of blacks. Now, when I say that to black people, or poor people, and they'll say, "Well, I say, yeah," but I said, "Well, wait a minute, wait, something's wrong. If my income, because of being excluded, if I'm being excluded from the economics, why am I paying the same tax rate as you?
Right.
I mean, come on now. Uh, these are just simple things. Now, when you come back and you say, well, then what do you propose? I propose socialism. Now, oh no, we're not communists. I didn't say communist.
Right. People does that's another thing too. People like think that socialism does not have one mere definition. There's a lot of different types and
Lot of
ways of going
right.
about it. They think, yeah, socialism, you necessarily mean Marxism or communism. Like, no,
Yeah,
not necessarily.
not
Some of it is that way.
necessarily. Right. It's nothing wrong with trying to share the wealth. There's nothing wrong with that. How can one family, one man, have $258 billion?
That's not
Uh,
crazy.
yeah, what are
And
you
he
going?
like it's also like it goes down to this like proportion of like labor to wages. Like Jeff Bezos makes something like $6 million an hour, even if he's
Yeah,
sitting on a white sandy beach.
right,
So you're not working and yet you're getting paid $8 million an hour.
right.
That what labor theory allows for that?
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't
yeah,
it doesn't make
yeah.
any sense. I mean, if you're going to work, you get paid to work. You don't get paid to sit around on a beach. And there's the disparity $8 million an hour for sitting around to give me that's craziness.
Yeah. And then if the other thing is, you made another point that come to my mind, and I think Marx, one of them, kind of referred to the situation that here you are a worker and you're making, let's say you're working in an assembly plant and you're making a F-150 and you're getting $25 an hour. You can't buy the damn truck with your wage. This is ridiculous.
Alienation of labor. That's what Marx called it.
That's what, yes,
It's
sir.
when like okay, so you're like there is this sort of like basic natural idea that like the laborer owns their labor.
Yeah,
If I build it, it's in a sense mine.
yes.
Okay, so like the alienation of labor that Marx pointed out is like, okay, I'm building this truck, but I can't afford to buy
I
one.
can't afford to
That
buy it.
doesn't make any sense, right?
Doesn't make
you
any
know,
at all. Not
so
at
like,
all.
yeah, for sure.
And if we could wake people up,
Yeah,
uh, and that's a heck of a job.
yes, that's a lot of work to do.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
I want to, number one, uh, in my in the direction I'm going, I want to number one, I want to preach the Green Party into these marginalized communities. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Number one, not because there's so much tied to the root of the Democratic Party. Of course, they are. and especially blacks. Uh, uh, but I want people to see, just slow down and take a look at
Yeah,
what's
just
happening
just give me your ear for a few minutes here and let
for
me
a few
explain
minutes.
some things. Let's talk about this because, like you said earlier, like show me what like warrants your feeling about the Democratic Party, like because
Yes,
I'm just not seeing it.
I'm not saying it.
I'm not. They're not. They're a lot more hidden than the Republic. At least you know where you stand with the Republican Party. Because
Oh
they're
yes,
just they're
yeah,
loudmouth idiots and they can't.
right.
They don't. They're not smart enough to even be deceptive. So so but the Democratic Party, like, what did they do for minorities? Like, I'm not seeing it, man.
I don't see it.
So
I don't see it.
yeah.
Oh well, we got a black vice president, and
Oh, big deal.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you
And
know,
how many African Americans did she put in jail when she was AG of
oh yeah,
California
hey,
for
tell
having a
me,
little bit of pot on them?
yeah,
Come
tell
on,
me about it.
come on.
I warned people. I warned them during that particular election period. I said, you better do some research. I'm good on research. That's what the
Sure.
masters did for me.
Yeah. No.
It taught me how to research.
Yes.
You know,
It's
and
invaluable. Yeah.
yes, and when you just like you brought up about her, uh, Buttigieg, go to where he was mayor, and you can find some discrepancies, racial discrepancies that he had as a mayor,
Really.
and but when the people of that city or Racine or any other city bring up these issues, they're thrown to the side.
Yeah.
Thrown to the side. Now,
Mhm.
what we've had here in Racine, to extend on that a little bit, when we talk about the corruption in the criminal justice system, when our cops kill people here in Racine, we might as well just shake our heads and say, let him go, because the DA, she wouldn't prosecute a cop if he killed her mother.
Wow.
And it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That's crazy. Yeah, qualified immunity is something that needs to go. We need better prosecutors and attorney generals. And I like what Jill said to you. I think that's a great idea. You have like just community accountability, like direct and immediate accountability to the people that you are policing.
Yes.
Like through like a community board or something like that. Like Chicago has one.
Yes.
And I know that like technically village boards in like in towns around here can do stuff like that, but they're also the politicians of the
Right.
community as well. Let's do something separate. Like your only job right now is to hold cops accountable.
Accountable.
That's what you do. Okay.
Right. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and we have just gave them all the authority, and it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's pretty silly.
It
I mean, it's pretty awful. Like and don't get me like I mean, I go back and forth with like policing. I'm like, there's some like basic fundamental philosophical moral issues that like somehow like this whole idea of like rights. A right is a moral allowance for behavior, so it applies to everybody equally. So to
yes,
say that we have some sort of like elite group of people that get to like that have rights that we don't have, that doesn't make any sense. It's
right.
not a right, then it's a privilege.
It's a privilege.
Okay, and if it's a privilege, then you should be getting it from the people. This whole idea that you get to like beat the hell out of me because I don't want to give you my name
Right.
is really kind of stupid. So
It's ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. It really is. But at the same time, there are practical reasons to have cops. There's a lot of bad people
Yeah,
out there that want to do
true.
bad things. I get that, and I don't want to be preoccupied with crime. I'd rather hire somebody to do it for me. I totally
Right.
get that. But we need greater accountability. There's a lot of solutions to that. Again, getting rid of qualified immunity, the village boards that we talked about, or community boards of accountability. Having cops that take out personal insurance policies. So
Yes.
instead of having to sue the police department, which comes out of our taxes, by the way,
Yes. Yes.
sometimes those are sometimes in the tens of millions of dollars if the
Mhm.
cop screws up bad enough. Then the individual cop gets sued, and it has to come out of their insurance. The premiums go up. Hopefully, that will deter them in the future from doing anything stupid if they don't get fired or put in jail. Stuff like that. There's a lot of different ways to approach this, right?
Yes. Yes. And the use of by these both parties of our political capital and our capital, our real paper capital, where I don't know where it's coming from, because they're printing up 95 billion, 60 billion, 80 billion. A thing was brought to my attention the other day that I hadn't really thought about it, and I don't know how true it is, but someone said they have universal health care in Israel. Now, I'm not sure.
Israel is socialist.
Yeah.
Israel is a socialist government.
Okay.
That's
So,
another thing that a lot of people in the public that are pro-Israel don't know.
so this money that we're giving them is giving them amenities that we don't have.
Oh, 100. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're taking care. What the hell? We might as well adopt them, And I don't want to come off as anti-Semitic. I don't, because I believe in the sanctity of life. I really do. And that's another thing that drew me to the party is the humanistic qualities that I see.
Yeah.
You can't find that in the other parties. They're warmongers. They're money grab. And I try to tell people, listen, Republican, Democrat, sure, some of the ideologies are different, but in the end, they're headed in the same direction to power and money, or money and power. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So you need to charge them for your vote. If we got to get to that, then yeah, I'll vote for you for $50,000. I mean, yeah, since you got so much money just to print and throw it away, it's
yeah, that's we could talk. We should be back on and talk more about sociology and philosophy and economics and stuff like that, because I think we would have a really good conversation. But that's something about money and how it literally doesn't have any objective value. It's literally just made up nonsense. And we kill for it, we die for it, we live for it. It's just it's a total false god, and it's just nonsense. It doesn't.
I like that. I like that.
I'm not typically a very religious person, but I think that's just a good way to look at it.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And to put that as more valuable than a human life is, first of all, irrational. It doesn't make any logical sense, because the opposite is the case. And it's just disgustingly immoral and unjust and awful. So yeah, it's too bad. We got but so BL is he said some fun stuff here. And then Peter Karas, Karas. Do you know that name?
That's my campaign manager.
Oh, right on. Well, hello to all of you. Thanks for joining in. BL is commenting. There's a couple here that I'm not going to say on air, but you can see it over here in the comment section if you want. If you want to read it, it's fun stuff. We know where he stands on Israel, or she. I don't know. It's just two initials. Okay, cool. So we only got a couple minutes left here, Chester. It's been so great talking to you. You're interesting, gentlemen. You have life experience that a lot of the other candidates don't have, which is great, because you can really put it all in perspective. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to do. You come with not just facts and truths on your sides, but wisdom as well, which is the refining point of all rational thinking. I have a philosophy degree. I actually literally studied wisdom, so it's refreshing to see this. Very, very nice. Anything else you want to say before we go? We got a few more minutes here. Anything else you want to talk
about? ChesterTodd.org. I'll accept a penny, $1, $25. I'll even accept $3,000, to get some signs in the yards. And by the way, to say this, now I believe, I'm not sure, that with me being on the ballot, I think I'm the first Black to be on the CD1 ballot in Wisconsin. I'm not sure, and look who did it. It wasn't the Democrats, because they had a guy that would have been on the ballot, but they undermined and threw him under the bus.
It's so disgusting. Yeah.
And how do you take a young man, I don't care what color he is, he's in the United States Navy as an officer, and went through the Naval Academy. How do you throw that man under the bus?
He sounds like, his profile sounds like a perfect candidate.
And he's a wonderful young man.
Right.
He was wonderful young man. And I've had him at my house, and we sat down and talked,
Nice.
And yes.
Can you talk him into joining the Green Party or?
I tried, but yeah, because see, they have him so enculturated into the party
I know.
that when he dropped out, guess who he threw his strength behind? The guy that threw him under the bus.
Wow.
You
Party
know?
loyalty like that. Yeah,
Oh,
that's too bad. Instead
that's
of loyalty to, again, wisdom and rationality, you apply to just a party. That's too bad. That's really too bad. Yeah, it's just, and I've said this before on the show, but I'll say it again because I think it's worth repeating. What's frustrating about people, because I mean the polls again have been done, like 50+% of the eligible voters are just tired of the duopoly. They want third options. They really do. They're hungry for third options. The problem is each person in the duopoly that would prefer morally and rationally to vote for a third party candidate is afraid that if they do, not enough other people will, so that their vote won't count. However, each one of those other people are doing that for the same reason.
the same reason.
You're all just talking yourselves out of it. Just one election, vote third party.
Yes.
The Green Party, of course, I'm going to prefer that, but the Libertarian Party's got some good stuff going on. Just vote third party, and you will see changes happen. I assure you.
Real quick, you'd be amazed. And I know we're running out of time, but it was only, I bet you, a couple of days after I said announced my candidacy. Man, I had people who are my friends, associates, white associates, black associates in city government, and then just Democrats with a little power around the city calling me saying, well, if you run, you might take 2% from Peter, and then that'll wreck the election. I said, well, what do you want me to do? Well, why don't you drop out? I said, well, why don't Peter drop out and give me his support?
They feel like they're entitled to the votes.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you realize that if you run, you're going to take votes away from us?
Yeah. Oh, like you own the votes,
Like, exactly, yeah. This whole, that we're the spoilers, we take votes away from other candidates. There's no such thing as taking a vote away because it wasn't theirs in the first place.
And there's no such a thing as a wasted vote.
And there's no such thing as a wasted vote. If you vote your conscience, you're not wasting your vote. That's ridiculous. So real quick, BL saying that I don't live in Wisconsin, but I will support Chester all the way.
I appreciate
asking
it.
If you can cook and what your favorite food is. Okay.
Can you cook? Smothered pork chops.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful.
Smothered pork
That's beautiful. Chops. That's beautiful. And Public Domain is saying Green Party. Oh, well, you lose me. Green Party is a sane party and has true grassroots and sustainable approach to the future. That's true. Like we actually have 10 party platforms that guide our decision making and the way we approach things. And there's different interpretations of each one from different people. That's great, which is awesome. You want that sort of diversity. But I think we might be the only party that actually has 10 principles we stand on.
I think we're the only party that got positive principles.
Right. Yeah. That we actually try to stick to as best we can. Because the duopoly, the Democrats, Republicans just kind of do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So with very little guidance from principles or virtues or values. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. We just got like a minute left here. Did you want to wrap it up with anything? Want to sum it up?
I just want to encourage people, and I see in the chat here, stick to it. We'll win in the end. We might not be here to see it, but I have got to do this, not only for black, but for white, for anyone else who live in a marginalized existence in a country that has so much money that it can give away the amenities that are supposed to be to you. Our fight is to create a future for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, which I have 29 grandchildren and 20 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
I need them. I need to bank some security for them.
Yes.
And thank you. I thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Chester Dodd, Thank you for coming on here. I had a wonderful time talking to you. You're a wonderful human being, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about your campaign and your candidacy. Let's try to get you back on maybe before November 5th, and just get an update. Very good talking to you, sir. And BL and Peter and the rest, thank you for tuning in. And this is the Illinois Green Party Series. I'm your host, David Rich. Till next time, be good, be green.
Take care.
All right, take care.
Mm-hmm.